I'm excited about my new position. I have just been appointed as the Associate Dean for First Theological Degrees at LTSP. There has been an Associate Dean in the past at LTSP. Margaret Crick served as the Associate Dean as she was working on the graduate school, but it's been a position that they have not filled for a few years since Margaret retired, and determined with the number of new initiatives and the new programs that we're doing over the next year and some of the initiatives that have already been going but need some further stewardship, there was time to reinstitute this position. And so the president appointed me to that role. The faculty then vetted that appointment, and then the board approved this position this fall. My job is basically working with a number of different groups on campus. One of my first responsibilities is helping to direct the MAPLE and MAR programs, and so we'll be working with those MAPLE and MAR students and collaborating with local social ministry organizations to hire as interns, and then after graduation to hire students into work in those categories. But I'll also be help working through the cooperative program and our distributive learning program as we're launching and moving into 2016, where we're going to expand our pathways to graduation. And so my job is to oversee those programs, to make sure they all work in sync together, and to create sort of some opportunities for students to engage theological education in the best way forward for them. So that might mean that they're thinking about, as I said, working in social ministry organizations, and they want to work on a MAPLE program, or they want to do some further academic study, or just do some initial research into religion and the arts, and so they do an MAR degree. But we also have multiple platforms, multiple pathways for MDiv students to come into theological education. Students can come and live on campus and do a residential full-time program here. Students can do a part-time evening and weekend program and do their MDiv. But we also have opportunities for students to explore some new and I think really exciting ways of theological education. One of those is our cooperative program, which has been around for a little while now. The co-op allows a student to be immersed in practical theological education for 3 years in a congregation while they are getting their MDiv degree. It's a quicker way to graduation. It's a way that they can be immersed in a community while they're doing theological education, and it gives them a chance, because of its a 3-year program instead of a 4-year program, to cut down on some of their student debt. You know, one of the things that's really exciting for me is that I get to continue to teach. Anytime you move into any kind of administrative position, there's an offset of what you do. And so one of the freedoms that the dean and the president have given me is that I get to make choices each year about how I do the offset. I'll continue to teach 3 to 5 classes a year, but for the most part, like this year, I'm only doing 3 courses, and then I can determine with the needs of the community and my own interests the number of courses I want to teach each year, which is kind of exciting. So I wouldn't take on a position like this if I had to leave the classroom, because I absolutely love teaching. I love teaching preaching. I love being in the classroom with students. And one of the things that's exciting for me is that this helps me see, both in the classroom and from the student's perspective, how different pathways, different understanding of theological education are helping them become better preachers, whether they're embedded in a church or they're doing field ed or whatever it is. It helps me as a teacher because I'm going to get to see both sides of the coin, some of the administrative issues, but also as a faculty member. ATS, and that's the Association of Theological Schools, and other groups that are doing research about theological education come up with studies on a yearly basis, on a quarterly basis almost, about what's changing in theological education. And it's impacting our institutions. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, changing culture, the financial, status of lots of different institutions, changing numbers of students that are coming in, the changing nature of students. We're getting many students who are younger, who are coming straight out of college, but we also have a lot of folks who are second career who need different pathways, ways of getting theological education. And all these things are mean for us as institutions that we have to be as creative as possible. I think that as I also listen to churches and people out there, they want to know that there's hope, right, for their church. And some of these churches that I go visit are dynamic, growing, vibrant places, but they still feel the stresses and the pressures of the culture out there. Some of the places I go visit are churches that are barely hanging on. And they want to know, is there hope out there for the next generation? My kids don't go to church anymore. My grandkids don't go to church anymore. Is there any hope for this church in the future? I think there is. But we're absolutely about dynamic change and about transformation. I think small churches can do some of the most vital and vibrant ministry that you've ever seen. And I think I've been in some big congregations that were pretty lifeless and didn't have a lot going on. We want to help students figure out, how do I revitalize a church, energize new ministries, and help people really live into who God calls them to be. And in the midst of all that, I think there's great hope. Jesus Christ died. Jesus Christ was risen. Jesus Christ lives again in us. And the church is called to be the hands and feet of Christ in the world today. And if we're not doing that, and we're not, as an institution, preparing students to help people do that, then I'm not sure what our purpose is. And I would much rather be on the side of helping people live into who God calls them to be. And I think that's what this place is about. I think that's what the church needs to be about. And that's what I hope that my job can help people do.